A hush fell over the pews one autumn morning as an electrifying secret rippled through a small town's sacred halls. A secret so scandalous it would soon surge through every social feed, fueling heated debates and viral shares alike. In that moment, the venerable sanctuary, where stained glass windows held centuries of prayers and whispered confessions, became the stage for a revelation that would shake the very foundation of its cherished community. The tale centers on a respected preacher who had long walked a precarious line between duty and desire. He was a man who preached hope and salvation by day while harboring a truth that, if exposed, would shatter the carefully constructed walls of his personal and spiritual world. For decades, Reverend Nathaniel had been the embodiment of solemn piety in the town's heart. His sermons, delivered with impassioned fervor and gentle nuance, wove stories of compassion, redemption, and faith. Yet behind his kind, steady eyes lay a secret, a hidden facet of his identity intimately entwined with the forbidden love he had nurtured in the shadows of his spirit. Known to many as a pillar of the community, he was also, in his private moments, a gay man who found solace in the soft, clandestine embrace of another. This secret life was one he had kept under lock and key, a truth so delicate that even his wife, Mary Ann, remained oblivious until that fateful day in the sanctuary's hallowed corridors. Mary Ann, a devoted wife and the unofficial manager of the church's many charitable committees, was a picture of warmth and fidelity, devoted wholly to her husband's calling. Her unwavering commitment to their life together and to the church was unquestioned by all who knew her. However, the meticulous woman was destined to confront an enigmatic divergence in her husband's actions, one that would unravel the tapestry of trust that had long bound them. In the dim light of dusk following a particularly stirring sermon, Mary Ann wandered through the nearly empty church in search of misplaced documents for an upcoming charity event. What she encountered in a secluded corner near the chapel would forever change the course of her life and the life of the community. In that secretive space, secluded by tall pews and the soft glow of candlelight, Reverend Nathaniel and the church's deacon, Daniel, were united by an embrace that transcended all words. Their connection, tender yet bold, was witnessed in a moment of vulnerability that defied the rigid doctrines of the institution they both served. The kiss, wrapped in passion and burdened with the weight of concealed truths, unfolded as if time itself had slowed to acknowledge the conflicted beauty of their union. For Nathaniel, each stolen glance and brush of Daniel's hand was an affirmation of the love he dared to harbor in the quiet corners of his soul, a love that had blossomed in the sacred secrecy of the church. The intimacy of that gesture was as delicate as dewdrops on a petal at dawn and as powerful as the surge of revelation coursing through ancient corridors of faith. Mary Ann's discovery of this clandestine affair was a moment carved out in the annals of local legend. While sifting through old files, her eyes caught a disturbance of light and a shape that did not belong, a figure in the background illuminated by a soft radiance. In that instant, suspicion transformed into heart-wrenching clarity as she realized that the unconventional intimacy being shared was not meant for public eyes or the comfort of her heart. The shock surged through her like a tidal wave, unmooring every belief she had held sacred. The sight of her husband, a man she had trusted implicitly, sharing a kiss with Deacon Daniel sent ripples through her soul. It compelled her to confront not only the betrayal in her heart but also the intricate labyrinth of societal expectations, concealed identities, and the quiet agony of living a double life. As the secret quickly morphed into a viral narrative circulating through whispered conversations and furtive glances around town, the church itself became a crucible of conflicted emotions. Congregants who once sought solace in Nathaniel's sermons now found themselves battling an inner turmoil as they pieced together the fragments of rumors and realized that even their revered leader was fallible. The striking contrast of Nathaniel's serene exterior against the passionate intensity of his hidden desires catalyzed debates on morality, integrity, and the nature of love. Social media platforms buzzed with heated discussions, articles, and video clips, each clip attempting to capture the essence of that fateful kiss, the symbol of forbidden affection amid sacred surroundings. In living rooms, small cafes, and busy streets, the story resonated with countless individuals who had ever felt the pang of living at odds with who they truly were. The narrative of a gay down-low preacher found its way into both scholarly introspection and everyday conversation. Some interpreted the kiss as an act of rebellion against the rigid confines of an unforgiving society. Others viewed Marianne's pain as the inevitable casualty of a world that demanded absolute conformity and where secrets were a currency of survival. For Nathaniel, this moment of revelation was a painful reckoning, a point where the burdens of secret desire buckled beneath the weight of communal expectations and personal integrity. In the subtle interplay of light and shadow that danced along the church walls, a story of forbidden ardor and shattered illusions was etched across time. Behind the public controversies and fervent debates lay a deeply personal saga of internal conflict and yearning. Nathaniel had long battled the dichotomy between his spiritual vocation and his intrinsic nature, a battle waged in silence behind closed doors and tranquil chapel nights. His heart, a repository of both divine inspiration and human vulnerability, had been forced into a double life. A life where he preached love but concealed an unspeakable truth about the love he longed to openly claim. Daniel, the deacon, stood as both confidant and accomplice in this quiet rebellion against the norms that constrained them. Their secret encounters, marked by tender kisses and lingering, heartfelt embraces, were a declaration of defiance against a world that refused to see beyond conventional labels. In their embrace, there existed a quiet revolution, one that questioned the boundaries of propriety and challenged the belief that love must conform to a single, narrow definition. Marianne's initial reaction, a maelstrom of disbelief, sorrow, and betrayal, gradually transformed into a journey of introspection and personal growth. Though her heart ached with the sting of deception, the unfolding drama compelled her to examine her own life. Her unquestioned loyalty and the societal constructs that had defined her very identity. Her discovery was the catalyst for an inward quest, a determination to rediscover her voice in a narrative that too long had been dictated by invisible rules. As whispers of scandal grew louder, Marianne encountered both empathy and hostility from those around her. In hushed conversations with lifelong friends and encounters in tearful recluse, she began to understand that the truth, as painful as it was, might serve as a liberating force for many who struggled with their own hidden realities. Her internal transformation, challenging the very foundations of her long-held beliefs, underscored the dual nature of a world where love and duty were often at odds. As the days turned into weeks, a divide emerged among the congregation, a rift that exposed the fault lines of traditionalism and the desire for a more inclusive understanding of the human heart. The church, once a sanctuary of unity and collective hope, became a battleground where conformity was tested and compassion extended its uncertain hand. In the wake of the viral revelation, those who had once taken solace in the structured rituals of the service now found themselves questioning the very nature of forgiveness and acceptance. The tale of the passionately shared kiss between Nathaniel and Daniel, captured in the silence of candlelight and immortalized by the quiet shock of a betrayed soul, ignited a spectrum of emotions that spanned from anger to empathy, from condemnation to hopeful openness. A particularly evocative moment emerged when the two men, driven by a desire for a fleeting connection in the midst of tumult and judgment, met in a quiet alcove behind the church's bell tower. In the golden hue of early evening, the soft murmur of a breeze was the only witness to their embrace. Nathaniel's face was etched with remorse and longing as he clutched the hands of Daniel, whose eyes gleamed with a mix of tenderness and defiance. Their kiss, unhurried and imbued with every hidden emotion of years spent in secrecy, resonated like a silent hymn, a hymn to love in its most unadulterated form. That kiss, both the culmination of years of summoned courage and a harbinger of inevitable consequences, symbolized the intersection of human vulnerability and the aspirational purity of deep, personal truth. This defining moment was not merely an act of physical union but an unspoken vow to embrace what lay beneath societal expectations. It was in that kiss that the preacher and the deacon exposed the dichotomy of their inner worlds, the external facade of devout leaders and the internal yearning for acceptance of their true selves. The church, long revered as a safe haven, now bore witness to an intimate rebellion, a rebellion against the monotony of judgment and the fear of embracing an authentic identity. Every touch, every lingering gaze undone by self-imposed constraints, contributed to a narrative that challenged the church's age-old dogmas while highlighting the intricate tapestry of human emotions that wove every life together. In the aftermath of that fateful day, as the scandal's reverberations coursed through both digital screens and quiet prayer circles, Nathaniel faced a vortex of repercussions that threatened to uproot the very core of his existence. His once orderly life, meticulously balanced between solemn sermons and the secret moments of forbidden intimacy, now teetered on the edge of chaos. The congregation, split between admiration for his ministry and shock at his concealed world, found itself at a crossroads of empathy and indignation. Some called for his immediate removal, decrying his hypocrisy, while others empathized with the complexity of the human heart and the struggle to reconcile personal truth with institutional duty. Every whispered opinion, every public demonstration of support or disdain, deepened the chasm between private reality and public expectation. Meanwhile, Daniel, whose quiet strength had long been overshadowed by the expectations imposed upon him as a deacon, found himself grappling with a newfound limelight. His role, once defined by humble servitude, now advanced into uncharted territory, forcing him to confront the prejudices of a community caught in rapid transformation. With the viral story serving as both shield and sword, the deacon's own personal journey emerged, a quest to redefine his identity, not solely as an enforcer of tradition, but as a man who cherished love in its most genuine form. In the delicate interplay between whispered confidences and public scrutiny, his actions in that tender kiss with Nathaniel became emblematic of a larger narrative, a call for compassion in a world too often divided by fear of the unfamiliar. As the days stretched into sleepless nights filled with introspection and whispered prayers, a painful metamorphosis began to unfold within the church walls. Long-standing hierarchies were questioned, the boundaries of faith were redrawn, and an undercurrent of hope stirred among those who believed that authenticity could ultimately prevail over rigid orthodoxy. For Mary Ann, the journey was one of sorrow and self-discovery. Her once unyielding faith in her husband and her role in the community was shattered by the betrayal, yet it also sparked a courage to question the limits of tradition and to seek out the truth in every delicate fragment of her own heart. The heartbreak that clung to her every step slowly transmuted into a strength that shone even in the dim corridors of the church, hinting at a future where the complexities of love and identity might be reconciled with a kinder, more inclusive understanding. In the muted glow of dawn, as the church prepared to welcome yet another congregation, the air felt laden with unspoken confessions and tentative promises of renewal. Each pew bore the weight of decisions yet to be made, whether to cling to the familiar comforts of a tradition unyielding to change, or to embrace a future where authenticity and acceptance might lead to genuine healing. Nathaniel, now a man exposed before an audience that rarely forgave such revelations, faced the daunting challenge of balancing his spiritual calling with the tormented reality of his concealed self. In his quiet moments of prayer and solitude, he reconsidered the true meaning of redemption, not merely as a set of prescribed rituals, but as a journey into the very heart of what it meant to be human. The viral moment that had once electrified screens and ignited passionate debates gradually settled into the fabric of the town's collective memory. It became a symbol, a mirror reflecting the deeply personal struggles, the defiant acts of love, and the enduring hope for transformation. Within those same walls that had witnessed the controversial kiss, the church began to cultivate a dialogue that sought to honor both tradition and change. In hushed discussions after services and in the silent exchange of knowing glances, members of the community recognized that the story of the gay down-low preacher, his tender kiss with a devoted deacon, and the irrevocable heartbreak of his wife were threads in a grand tapestry of human existence. A tapestry where truth, however painful, illuminated the path to common compassion. The journey forward remained uncertain, fraught with the pain of broken illusions and the promise of uncharted liberation. Yet in that uncertainty lay the possibility of reconciliation, a chance to re-examine long-established truths and to redefine what it meant to lead, to love, and to forgive. As the sanctuary embraced the quiet resolve of another sunrise, every stone and stained glass window, every echo of footsteps on worn wooden floors, bore silent witness to the interplay between sorrow and hope, between judgment and the burgeoning promise of renewal. In the end, this story is not merely one of scandal and heartbreak, but a poignant reminder that even within the most sacred of spaces, where tradition reigns supreme, the human spirit continues to defy expectation. The intricate dance between hidden truths and public revelation, between the preacher's impassioned dual existence and the overwhelming force of love, calls upon us all to consider that authenticity, though it may pave the path through pain and uncertainty, can also be the beacon that guides us toward empathy and truth. And so, beneath the ancient rafters of that century-old church, the legacy of that unforgettable morning, a viral tale that rocked a community and forever altered the destiny of those who dared to live their truth, remains etched into history, a testament to the transformative power of embracing one's whole, unvarnished self.